Hello, hello, everyone. We are live. Write in the comments, in the chat, where are you coming from? What time is it for you? It's 10:30 a.m. for me, so it's pretty cool here. What about you, Diane?
Yeah, it's 10:30. We're in the same time zone, and
Nice.
so yeah, it's a pretty day in Tennessee today. Little cool. So I've got my jacket on, my ambassador jacket. Well, this is actually a mentor jacket, but it's a little chilly in the office this morning.
Oh, interesting. Here it's already warm. I think we'll get to like 23 degrees or something Celsius. So that's gonna be warm, especially
Yeah,
for Canada. That is very warm.
that is. I was gonna say, yeah, because you're usually much colder than that. But spring is here. Yay!
Yes, yes. All right, so let's just wait for people to join a little bit. In the meantime, if someone is already watching or you're just watching the recording of this, remember that you can go to twitch.tv/MuleSoft_community and you can follow us there to see all of the previous recordings, to see the schedule. So when we're going to be live and when we're taking vacations or a break. And also, you can receive notifications as soon as we come live so you never miss us. So, I encourage you to go to Twitch and follow us there. If not, you can also watch us from Twitter or LinkedIn. That's fine. All right. So, yeah, I guess we can get started. I don't see a lot of people in the chat yet, but maybe like they're getting to it. They're getting to it. So, Diane, you prefer that I call you Diane or Digital D?
Diana's either is fine. I'm open for either one. So, and I guess I would probably quicker respond to Diane. So,
Okay. Someone in your house calls you Digital D or
no.
no?
I'm actually
Okay.
pretty known as Mima. That's what my family calls me. Even when my
Uh,
children were little, I was so really that's a whole nother nickname for me, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's nice.
It is. It is. We've got a lot of grandchildren, so it's fun that that's who I am to them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting someone in the chat. Hey, Munaf. All right. So, yeah, I guess we can get started. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you become CEO? You were mentor, ambassadress. Like, what happened? Tell us.
Oh, goodness. Well, I got into MuleSoft as a redirection of my career. So, those of you that have found yourself looking for, what am I going to do next? And I'm not going to say in detail what that means of that class of people, but I have been in touch with a lot that recently had a redirection in their careers. So, I had that also. Mine was planned, but I didn't have a severance. It was planned for me to, redirect to go into more integrations. That's where my passion was. I was in healthcare. And during my master's degree, I found MuleSoft as a solution to the 360 patient experience because I was a patient and I had a fragmented health record. Going to specialists with, some in print, some on DVD, some, seriously, it was a mess. So that was what started me. I made a commitment of, in a 6 month period of time to really just dive into the material. I went through the self-paced courses. Just as a developer, just really had a passion for that. And it turned out that I was going to attend an in-person meetup, but the person who was presenting had a family emergency, and at the like a week in advance said, would you please speak for me on, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've done some public speaking before, but it was brand new. It was my first introduction to the MuleSoft community, and I must say I was brought in with welcome arms, and I was treated like a princess at that meetup. It was wonderful. It was just such a great experience, and I presented. So it was a lot of fun. That started my meetup presentation journey. And as I was learning, I was personally learning. I was teaching some areas that I knew, and others were teaching me. So it just became such a great, the culture and of the MuleSoft community was just so welcoming to me, that I was so appreciative of everything that I was given and all the different meetup opportunities, that I could continue my training as a result of that. That I made a commitment then, I'm going to always give back to this community, because it has such a strong impact personally for me and professionally for me, that that's where that passion started. And it held true. I became a mentor, was in one of the first cohorts of the mentor group, and that was great fun. And we, just collaborated as well, continued helping others, bringing others into the mentorship program. And much to my surprise, um, I was offered, I guess you could say, or nominated, however you want to, awarded as a MuleSoft ambassadress, and that totally took me by surprise. I cried. I had tears of joy, and in that whole process, as I was going through all that, I transitioned. I had been working on some projects. I transitioned and started working as a MuleSoft instructor, and working with Hague Software with Ryan Hague, and many of you know him, and he worked closely with me to build out, fine-tune teaching skills, and became a MuleSoft instructor, MuleSoft certified instructor. And so as that continued to build out, we found such a need, or I guess you could say, in the MuleSoft community and in the business industry, a need for customized courses, something that's going to fill the gap, that uses MuleSoft but something else. And so we are building out and started to look in that direction, and decided to spin off a training company called Integration Quest. And Ryan's like, okay, write your dream job. This is you. This is all you. So I was honored, truly honored to, start this company last year. Our first year was a success and profitable. It was pretty exciting for that to unfold. And we're into year 2. We're growing. We're doing some really fun things that we haven't announced yet, to help build skills, hands-on skills. And so it goes hand in hand with the MuleSoft training. That's our first commitment to Salesforce MuleSoft, as far as being, now we're called expert-led instructors for the expert-led courses. And so as we continue to do that, we are going to, have the opportunity to share more and more material that's not just MuleSoft.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's exciting. So that's kind of where it went. There is some dogs barking outside, and my inside dog, I'm going to turn him loose. So, it was a good thing you said that we can be a little lax. Give me 1 second while I get him outside.
Yeah, sure. All right. While that happens, let me take a look at the chat. Hey, Ravi. Hi, Niket. Hi, Armin. Okay, she's back. Hey.
Sorry about that. Of all the things you try to be prepared about and control, you never know when the neighbor's dogs are going to be running through the woods, and my dog just has to, join the fun. So thank you.
Yeah. No worries. So we're getting a lot of people in the chat saying hello.
Hey, Brianna. Good to see you.
Hey, Edgar.
Edgar's here. Yeah. Great.
Alrighty. Well, that's great to hear that you were able to start your own company. I really love that.
Yeah, and it's really exciting, because so many of the and I have onboarding new instructors. There's some that are about to graduate. There's Shivani, you may know her. She's about to graduate as far as the complete certification is concerned, and Flavio also is about to graduate. So we've got a couple that are ready to graduate, a new group coming in. It's just really exciting. And training is, our whole focus about the training is to also have our hands on a project, or have had that project experience. And, so tying those entities together and really giving a real world experience. We have the canned, material, and we have use cases. It's great when everything works as expected, but when things don't is where we, want to share some of those, how to work through some of these things. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Nice, nice. All righty. Well, what are we going to learn today then?
We are going to talk about hyperautomation, and it's funny because I've helped write some of the exams, that are currently in place now. They've called upon us to do that, and when I was asked, we're writing a hyperautomation exam. Are you familiar with hyperautomation? And I'm like, I know automation, but I don't know what you're getting at with hyperautomation. It was a totally different, point of view. So I skipped on that. I was working on some other things too, and I said, no, I'm not a candidate for that. I don't think I know, that enough. And so now here it is, so and all the hype. That's why it was kind of funny. What's all the hype about hyperautomation? And it is really that next generation, that next step, bringing the next step to our, I guess you could say, skilling up to that next game platform of really bringing them all together, bringing all these products together. So I'm going to share that with you and show you the details on it. I did attend the class last week in preparation for me to qualify to teach this class. There's a qualification associated with every class that we teach, and so I'm going through that right now. And thanks to a senior instructor, I'll leave names out right now. He knows who he is. He allowed me also to share some of the details and the use case of that class, because it's perfect, to really explore. And I'll share my personal experience as well as the products that we use along the way.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like a kid during this class. I'm going to go ahead and present. Is that good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I was like a kid during this class. It was so fun. Let's see. Yeah, I want to do that and that and this. This is a new platform for me, so I'm learning.
No worries.
There you go. Okay, so what's all the hype about? It's the streamlining, the excitement of it, the ability to, use all, the products in the best way that we can. And so when we look at the various products, and if anyone has questions, I'm not watching the screen for the presentation. I'm kind of paying attention to my stuff here. So just pause me.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. So the right tool for the job, we have many products at our fingertips that we can use for automation. Okay, so the automation piece, we get that, right? We've got flow orchestration that we can pull and bring various Salesforce flows together and have them all be queued up at different times. We've got MuleSoft robotic process automation, where we create a bot that does different tasks that would be mundane for a user to go in and have to be doing these processes frequently. We've got MuleSoft Composer that really ties many of the other product lines together as well. Slack and databases. There are various things that MuleSoft Composer will allow us to do, and Salesforce Flow. Those of us who have been in MuleSoft and deeply into MuleSoft, I was unaware of all of the benefits that Salesforce Flow brings to it, brings to the table. And of course, Einstein chatbots, that's just totally exciting and fun to use too. So we can see, we've got all of the products, MuleSoft APIs, all of these elements and all of the product lines that work individually for automation in many different ways. And there are benefits to various types of tools and how it's going to, give us the solution that we're looking for a given product or a project, for a different for a solution. So when we're talking about automation and hyperautomation, it's really tying them all together. Now, your entire end-to-end may not be hyperautomation, but segments of that will be likely to be hyperautomation. So when we're looking at the bigger picture of a use case, we may be, using RPA, the bots, to provide some type of service or some type of information that we're needing. Composer to send out and bring in all the information, to continue documenting that. And the platform, Anypoint platform, to support, you know, um, the robustness of having that interface, with a system API that sits in front of a database that houses a lot of our information. So, as a part of this, the automation is there, but the hyper automation is what brings it all together for a solution. Okay. So, as I mentioned, many of you know there is a new course that covers this material. And as I said, we were granted permission to use the use case for this course. And there's also the certification for this. And some of my fellow ambassadors have already gotten this certification. So I am hot on that trail. It's just so much fun to have someone else who's like right in front of you. Servan had done it and presented at our meetup that we did recently. And he was talking about, what to look for when you're sitting for the exam. So if you want to check that out, it's our last healthcare and life sciences meetup that we did. And he shares his personal experience on passing that exam. So he had some really great tips for that. But of course, we can to locate the classes. If you are not familiar yet, we're going to the Trailhead Academy for the classes. It's listed as one of the top classes right now. But if you want to drill down and go specifically to MuleSoft classes, come down and filter for MuleSoft, and then you'll find all of the MuleSoft classes here. Okay. And so this gives you, that the location of where you can find this. And then, of course, for the exam, that is being housed right now on the training.mulesoft.com site. You do get 2 attempts for the exam when you take the class. So the exam is going to be listed under training.mulesoft.com in your portal, and it will show up there when you're ready to take that exam. Okay. So in addition, if you did not have the ability to take the course itself, you can do the trailheads. And this one's actually called a trail mix. Don't pick out your favorites out of a trail mix. We know we like to do that, right? But you do want to make sure that you go through the whole process. It's 3,000 points. You can be building your trailhead account, with your Trailblazer points in your account with that. But you can go through these trailheads. It's actually, or I should say trail mix. It's actually a prerequisite of taking the class, and I do highly recommend that you do this. Although you don't have any hands-on labs for this for these trail mixes, but they will help to give you a better understanding of the material that you're covering and that type of thing. So it's really helpful. This focuses a lot on the RPA, so that you'll have an understanding of how that works. Okay. So it all begins. Guess where it all begins? Anyone want to guess? Where does the RPA, well, for the course anyway. I guess when we talk about a solution, we're going to have some things that are already going to be in place. But it all begins, in our case for the class, in MuleSoft. Okay, so we talk specifically about MuleSoft. We go into the design center. We create a design that is going to interact with a database that is all about an electronic vehicle database. It's going to have the vehicles, the VIN numbers, any promotions, their service. So this database is going to have, it'll be able to get, as we can see in Exchange, all promotions, parts needed, the vehicle by VIN, service details, and that type of thing. So all of this is in the database that we connect to. And so, we start the course basically in Design Center, going through. And as you know, so MuleSoft is a big part of this. Now, what I found in our class, and I think this is going to be true in the industry and possibly in the audience, is that there are people who are deeply into Salesforce Flow. They understand that concept. They may not really understand MuleSoft. So we had some people who were brand new to MuleSoft. So this came to them as like an intro course. And so we can see, the exposure that you'll get is in the design center. We in turn then go over to Exchange and publish this to Exchange. And we have our details here where we can actually go and search. And so we have the vehicles by VIN, promotions by code and parts. So we have, the different endpoints available as far as that's concerned in our system API that we're creating. Okay. We then in turn, as you know, take that design and we bring it into Studio. Okay. This is set up as the implementation for right now. And we bring that into Studio and of course create that connection to the backend for the promotions by code, vehicle by VIN, vehicle service by VIN. And I'm sharing with all of you this because when you see it Hyperautomation, in the Hyperautomation piece of it, you'll know this is the source. This is where it's going to be connecting to and communicating with this database to whatever our request is, to complete the request to our database here. Okay, so we spend time in Studio in the class. Then, of course, next part of the life cycle is to deploy it to Cloud Hub, and we in turn manage it through API Manager and build out that entire step of that system API. Okay. So as again, I know the audience is probably going to be very strong on a lot of that because we are MuleSoft. We're into MuleSoft. Now, here's where it starts to switch to another product. We next go into MuleSoft RPA. Okay, and what this provides for us is a robotic process, a bot that's going to take care of various types of tasks that a user doesn't necessarily need to spend that time to go through, and so it's going to streamline that. And this I found was really very exciting. The first place you go to is the RPA manager, and this is where you will manage your entire life cycle of your bot. And it begins with an evaluation process. This evaluation process takes statistics, numerical values to see if there's value in doing this bot. Is this going to be saving us money in the long run? So it goes through an evaluation process, and then it goes through the build process. So let me grab, there we go. Here is the account. Now this is, if you have a Salesforce account, you could ask for entitlements if you're a partner or however, let me do that here real quick. However, this would, you may get extra entitlements for this. I don't know. You can ask your representative. In the training environment for the duration of your class, you have these accounts. And so that alone is very nice for all of the aspects to be able to see and feel how this, behaves. So we have, I won't go into detail everything on the left side here. It's in the trail mix. So check that out and you'll get an idea of what you do at each level. Time's not going to permit that. But what we did in the class is we created a rebate lookup. Okay, a rebate lookup bot. So this bot is basically, when we go into the bot, we can see that there is a life cycle here. There is a design, a build, a test, and then push to production phase. And so all of that completed in the duration as we went along. So this one is in good standing. It's an invocable configuration. There's different configurations you can do. You can schedule one or you can do invoke it. And as it was, as we were going through the process, we went into, from here, we went into the RPA builder. Okay, so once it goes through the evaluation and gets approved, then you go into the builder. Now I'm going to bring up my VM from the class that has my builder. Here we go. It's another nice thing you have in the class is a VM. And there we go. Okay, so I have launched the RPA builder. So this is what the builder looks like. When you come in here, this is your tool set to start building out your bot. Now, one thing I want to point out to you is there is a web page. This web page is what we use in class is cute, but it's the awesome car company website. So this is where a person would come in and they would log in and basically username and password, log in, and now I can come in and see the rebates here. These are the current rebates for the company. I can see the completed services here of services that, service cases were created. And there's a whole process once they have been created. This shows what was completed. And then this cracks me up. Here's the vehicles you can choose from. Of course, I don't know. I'm thinking I would go with either the phone or the shoe. I don't know. But
Who did that?
it's part of the class material, the use case. So it's the curriculum team. Isn't that cute?
That's so funny.
I know. They make learning fun. This is why I love what I do. People say, I love what I do because it makes learning fun. So this web page is what we are going to be using to look for different rebates. Okay. And when we get to when we get to Einstein bot, we will be then in turn selecting, the rebate that we want. But this is where, when we do that, it's going to use the automation to come in and pull up the amount of this rebate and be able to cover for that. So that that this is a web page that we're going to be interacting with. For right now, I'm going to shut this page down, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. But in my builder, I already have that particular project built. And if I come here to my previous categories, come on, where is it? I'll find it. I will find workflow. Is it? Yeah, the one thing I didn't have open was this. Come on. No. All right, folks. I'll find it.
Always something has to go wrong in the live streams. All the time.
It never fails.
Yep. That's exactly what happens in the live streams.
It should be in the repository. Yeah, I'm connected. That's good. Project Explorer. Goodness. All right. Project Explorer. You would think I'd remember that. That's very MuleSoft-like, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Goodness. All right. So it is loading. All right. So this project has already been pushed to production. So any changes I make here are not going to hold, but I wanted to show you a few things first here. Now, the workflow is that we do is we come in and we do a recording of a process. So even though we're here in the builder, I want to also bring up the option to record also. So we would be using, at first, we use the RPA recorder. And so then it records our entire activity that we're doing. Whatever the activity is, it's going to record that and have that code available for us. So if I start, once it's up and running, I start recording my activity, it is going to be documenting that. But what it does is it documents it based on my resolution on my system. That's why they say it's very important to, whatever you're doing, use the resolution of what you anticipate for this for this RPA to be working on. But if I start recording, what it's going to do is have an activity. I'm just going to do test, and then it's recording what I'm doing. So if I launch into this and I go to Amazon, I don't know, just go somewhere, it's recording this, it's catching all this. And once in here, if I do a sign in or something like this, I can actually, and we break it down into individual steps, because if I am, let me stop the recording there. Okay, now it's looking for my next step. So I could do login and add this and do value. It should add that. Yep. So see, it's fun stuff. Probably recording some of that. Yeah, I can't find that account. That's fine. And then as we do, I'll go ahead and stop the recording on this. Stop. Here we go. And then it will generate, there we go, the scaffolding for this flow. So if I click on this recording, it's going to bring in what we just recorded. Come on. There we go. Okay, so it starts to bring in, it didn't capture my login one because I didn't have the right details there. I'm going to show you one that is nicely done. But this starts to scaffold out the process. And so there's a start, there's a test area, and when we click on this, it has the test area details, and then, the end recording. So it captures what we are doing. And we did that for logging into the rebate site. Okay, so as we did, we took each one of those, and when I click this particular card, I guess you could call it, it's going to bring up the configuration and take us to the toolkit for this particular card, or what it's doing here. So as it's bringing this up, there we go. The original activity that we did, we actually go in and disable our original recording, because what we did when we were creating each stage is creating these cards for each of the processes. And so as it did, this one is just going to open the rebate site. Now this next one is actually going to be the login, and we saved our variables. That's why it was squawking at me before. We saved our variables of our username and password, and that gets encrypted. So we actually have to go through the process here in the step-by-step. We add this from our toolkit here and add each of the steps here. So I'm going to go ahead and launch into the car site and show you something here. So this is just on the home page. That first card did that rebate site for me. I'm going to run the whole thing, but for right now, I want you to see, now I'm on the login card. And if I run it from here, we will see all of these steps that have been configured running. Okay, so when I run here, I just click run, and it's going to go in and it's going to, let me bring that full screen. Come on. I think I closed it. It's a good thing you said this is very easygoing.
Yep, no worries.
Any questions while it's coming back up? Come on. Go ahead.
There was a question unrelated to the topic, but I don't know if you know it. It says, want to know about the new Associate Integration Certificate course, when will it be launched in the MuleSoft site? Do you happen to know?
The Integration Associate, I don't know when that's going to be launched. I believe there's trailheads for it now, aren't there?
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there are trailheads for it. Okay,
All right.
back on track. The web page is open because that's the first open rebate. Now we're on the login one, and we're going to run this one, and we'll see it go through and locate where the login. Notice it did that. Now it's going to type the username and password, and then it completed the login. So this card completes the login, right? So now notice we're at the rebates, completed services. Now when we go to the next card, and this has already been configured, we had to go back in and configure, various things, like to, in this case, look for the word rebate and then click on the word rebate. That's what this one's doing. So when we go there, it'll locate, it's scanning the screen for the word rebates. It found it and clicked it. Okay. And next is to locate the rebate. Now it's going to take a predefined rebate value that we gave it here, but when we use the bot, it's going to have that information, sent in. So it's going to, first of all, select all text, extract the text, get the regex we want, find the rebate, get the value. I mean, you got to put all this in step by step. And once configured, then we run this one. Now it's going to do a screenshot of all, get that all in the clipboard, and it looked in the rebate identifier. We were actually after one of the rebates. In the variable that we set was one of the rebates that has a value of $275. So you have to break all this down for it. And that's what's really neat about it. You get very detailed. So our variable, or our value that we sent in, that we configured this whole test to run off of, is based on this code, the EV3 window 1. So right now in my clipboard, I should have a value of 275. Let's see. So if I go to a clipboard here and I do a text document and I paste in what's presently in my clipboard on my system, it should be 275. 275. So it found the value of that rebate, and it's presently in my clipboard, but that it will be passing that back out as output to the calling application, whoever is calling that. So once we're happy here in the builder, and of course we can run it from scratch. Let me go ahead and close that site completely down. You can come up to the top panel. I've been running individual steps here, but we can come up to the top panel and run the entire process. So it's deploying the process now. And you have a window, a test run down below. It's opening the rebate site. It's locating the login. Oh, wow, that's really interesting. Hang on. It did not open it to full screen. That's weird. Maybe because I had dropped it down. Let me, of course. Fun stuff when things go crazy. Let's do that again.
Yeah, that's live streaming.
It is. All right, let's close that. Yeah, okay, so this is what errors look like. We want to think on our feet. You can click and see what's going on, and it was trying to scan to find that word rebate, and it did not find that window. So I don't know if that was because I had minimized. This should be closed. That's okay that that's closed. But being that I had minimized it off of full screen when I shut it the last time, I think that's why it did that. Let's see. It should open full screen. If it doesn't open full screen, that's going to tell me why. Wah, full screen. Now we're happy. Okay. So it was the setting and where I had minimized it. Now it's going to look for, it's looking for the word login. It found the word login. Now it's going to, tab through and put the username and password. We get our test result there. Now it's going to be looking for the word rebates. finds the word rebates, it pulls up our particular EB3 window 1, and it's going to have, first it's going to find all of them. It'll filter down to that, 275, and that's going to be present in for the rebate value that we were after. And there it is, it completes out. So this is how it works. You do an evaluation. Is this going to be, financially beneficial to do this? Once we are happy with this here, then we have an icon that uploads the project. And notice we're connected to the RPA Manager site. Okay, so we're connected to that. And when we upload it from the RPA Builder, it will upload here. Then we can run some testing here and make sure it's, behaving as it should. And then we can go ahead and promote it into production. Okay, so that's how the RPA and the bot piece works. So here's the RPA Builder and the recorder. And then from here, our next step during the course is to bring in another product, which is MuleSoft Composer. Now, what we do in this case is we take Composer. Of course, many of you are probably familiar with Composer. I'm not going to dive in too deep of what it does. I'm going to show you how we used it. I did a meetup early on Composer. There's a lot of material out there for it, but it's a great tool and it continues to mature and grow. So super happy about what Composer is doing. We went into our Salesforce account and created Composer flows. This one is the trigger is when a new record comes in, that it'll invoke the RPA process in MuleSoft RPA and then update the record in Salesforce. Okay. The other one that we create is also create an action in Google Sheets that is going to track and give us the detailed information about the appointment and information regarding, what's being done. And then also an action posted in Slack, as well as the complete simple request in HTTP. So we used Composer. You can use either a scheduler or a system event. And then, if you use a system event, that's what we did is, we in turn, use that as our trigger. So ultimately what that ended up looking like as we were getting the information is that, please, whatever occurred, please bill the awesome car company for case number 1009. That was a completion process there. So it's interacting with, Slack, as well as I will not be able to get to that Google Sheet fast enough, but I'll share that Google Sheet also. But we did have detailed information going into that Google Sheet as well regarding the service that was done. Okay. So in Composer, let me grab this one here and show you that here. There it is. In Composer, we created the flows in Composer. And so some of these, here is a promotional rebate flow that we create in class again. And it's so user-friendly. You just kind of click on the components of it, of what you need. And we can see the run history of this one in particular. If we want to view the actual flow, we can come here and see the actual flow itself. And of course, click into each one to see the details of how, what the configuration is, what we're looking for. And then also too, where it's invoking our bot, the RPA bot. And then the update record in Salesforce, case number. Okay. And then we have also too, the service case closed flow that we create in Composer. And this one, again, too, the trigger for on or new updated record, the action of this going to Google Sheets with the case number, close date, email, contact, etc., when the appointment was. And and then also that Slack message I showed you. Okay, and then a post to our system API from here. Okay, so that's interacting with our MuleSoft system API. I was just in love with this the whole time I was in this class. I kept telling the instructor, "This is so cool," privately, but then I would share my enthusiasm because it is so cool. Another area that I dove into after this, after we complete the composer part, is using the Salesforce Flow Builder. And, I'm a MuleSoft girl. I've been deep into MuleSoft, but this spoke to me. I'm really cranked up about this too. And of course, Flow. We had to include Flow here. And as we did, the Flow Builder allows you to create the logic that you need. There was a lot of flows that were already created for us that we just pulled in, and we created these flows, but then we pulled in some other flows that were already done. And that's very real world like. We're going to have those, other flows that our other teams have already created. So when we look at the various flows, these are the various flows created. We specifically went to create case parts. This is one that we did. So when a case that's the one I showed you on the screen, on the slides, and we create the logic, parts for the parts. After last, create a case part for the promotion, whatever it is, replacing a battery. There was for a new extended life battery. There's, different promotions. And so it's adding the parts and verifying the parts are there. Okay. So that's one of them. And then the other one that we did also was the schedule service appointment, I believe it is. We did this one. We did another one too. But at any rate, just to kind of give you an idea, do they have a service contract? Yes or no? If they're approved, then you go down, and if it does not approve, there's a process to go through, and then if it is approved, then we get that parts and service, get those parts we needed, and send an appointment email. Okay, so very cool in the way that this all materialized in creating those flows. Then for orchestration, we in turn used all of that to use the orchestration piece to have all of those flows tied together, okay, of what we needed to do. Again, hyperautomation. This is hyperautomation. It's using all these different products together. And the final one that we use is Einstein bots for the chat box. And that was super cool too. I'm just saying, if you want to be entertained for a week, this class is really interesting. And I now have a jillion ideas that I want to do to apply it to some real case scenarios. But the Einstein bots are really, very user friendly. We came in and we created and configured this bot. And so we actually put a card in for every communication back and forth in the bot. Which vehicle now this is coming down into responding to the promotion. So this is a smaller segment, so this is not what you're going to see when we run the bot. This is actually going to be the part where we are communicating, what vehicle, it's a promotion. Okay, what vehicle are you wanting this to, are you asking about? And so which vehicle is this for? Let me find out what promotional offers we currently have. Which promotion do you want? So in this communication back, we're also giving them the promotions that apply to that vehicle. Okay, so again, this gets ran, and the bot will run a flow in the meantime too, and create a case, because they actually end up creating a case here. So in order to be able to use the bot, we coded it first, then we in turn communicated with the support bot. And of course, you start off with username and password, and then you go it'll offer us the different vehicles that customer has. And then also, do you want tire rotation? Do you want the battery, the window tinting, whatever the case may be? And then it'll create a service case for them. And then the service department will reach out for an appointment date. But there's a case created. So where are these cases? These cases are housed by, in Salesforce, as under the customer. And here is our test customer that we're going to use. And there are several cases. Some of them are closed. We're going to use some of these case numbers to check status of a case. And in order to do the bot, we ended up using a Salesforce site. Okay, so we came in here, we pretended like we were going to create a website. And so we did. We created, let's see if it's in there. Yeah, there we go. We created the site. We didn't do any of the configuration of the true site. We were just after this bot, this chat bot down here in the bottom right. So we grabbed that chat bot, and now I'm going to put in that test user. This is where it all comes together, folks. Here comes the ta-da. Okay, so we start chatting with this bot. Okay, and it says, hello, agent's on the way. And it says we have some options. And it says, how can we help you? Are we responding to a promotional offer, or do you want to know your repair status? Now, remember, we looked at the code or the configuration that we did for the promotional offer. So I'm going to click that one. Which vehicle is this for? Okay, so Tristan has an EV1 sedan and an EV4 truck. So we'll go with the EV1 sedan. And it's going to get the promotional offers for that vehicle. We'll say we're going to do the battery replacement. Perfect. Let me create. And now we have a new case. I could go to Tristan's cases and locate that is a actual case number that got posted. Okay, so she has a new case that's posted there. And now I'm going to say, okay, I'm done chatting. Confirm end of chat. Close chat. And let's say, little time later, we want to come back and check on the status of another service case that I have. Tristan's, that one that we just did, we know it's going to come back as a new status. But let's look at one that is already completed. Of course, when everybody's watching, I type so well. All right, starting to chat again. And this time I'm going to check on a repair status. And what is our case number? Let me grab one of those other case numbers. And it is, there we go. And these are all under Tristan's cases. And we have 1009. That one I looked at earlier, and this should come back that it is closed. Yep, looks like the status of this case is closed. And so we can look at Tristan's account here. And if I refresh this, we should see that new request that should have come in. Maybe it hasn't made it over yet, but we should have, a new case created for her. Yeah, it's this one. Here we go. There is the case we just created 2 minutes ago. So now service will come in. See, service doesn't have to interact. It'll save some time being on the phone. The bot will handle a lot of this, and it gives the customer a better experience as far as, the how they are interacting with the company and, giving them that opportunity. So that is the ta-da. Any questions? Any questions? I know I covered a lot of material along the way, but that's the course, and super excited about it. And I'm super excited. I'll be speaking at New York City World Tour and this for Connect. I guess it's Connect.
Yeah.
World Tour combined together. And I'm using Hyperautomation under the hood, but the title of my actual presentation is Dynamic Dashboards using MuleSoft, Tableau, and Slack. And so I'm going to be using Hyperautomation under the hood, and we'll share that and, provide information, on how that works. So any questions?
I don't see any questions right now, but that was awesome. I love how everything comes together. I had no idea about this.
Neither did I. Like I said, I didn't even know when they were asking, do you know Hyperautomation? We need to create they were working on that. And I was like, I don't know Hyperautomation. What are you talking about? I know automation.
Yeah.
It is, taking it to the next level. And, I find this to be so interesting because this is actually very symbolic of the Salesforce, MuleSoft, Tableau, Slack merger.
Yeah.
It's very symbolic of that. So we need to embrace and take that with us as we continue to, provide solutions. That whole mechanism for this use case. Of course, I had to leave out a lot of details of, doing connected apps behind the scenes, and also, setting up security for the, system API. There's a lot you do. We use the secrets on the platform, and none of our other classes in the developer courses that I'm aware of use that. So it's really great exposure. Even if you are MuleSoft experienced, you're going to get into Composer and Salesforce flows and orchestration and, bots, and it's like a banquet of different things to dive into.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun.
Well, thank you so much for that. I hope that people found it useful, and we'll see when they enroll on the training.
Yeah, and if you're well, let me do this too. If you are planning to do the trail mixes, send me a message in LinkedIn. I want to know who's ready to jump in on this, who's ready to go for it. If you're enrolled in the class, let me know. I just would love to hear the feedback that you're getting, that you're experiencing. The trail mixes, of course, are focused on RPA, but get familiar with that, especially if you're already familiar with MuleSoft. Where I needed to skill up, and I have been working on it now also too, is on the Salesforce flows. I love Flow, the flying squirrel. If I could move my camera, you would probably see some flying around in our trees out here. But that's the automation. They fly through the air. They're just, we can, pick up what we want and build out, our an experience that's more user friendly for our customers, and I think that it's going to really streamline so much.
All right, perfect. Well,
so thank you, Alex, for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I put your LinkedIn on the screen so people can go and find you. And yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Go hyperautomate something.
Not yet. All right, so remember everyone to follow us on twitch.tv/MuleSoft_community so you can see all of our previous recordings, including this one. As soon as it is done, it will be there for you to find. You can see our schedule, and you can get notifications as soon as we are live so you never miss us. All right. Thank you so much, Diane. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.